Good evening, everybody. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Monee Village Board of Trustees, February 22nd, 2023, 6:34 p.m. If I could please ask Dave Short to come up for the invocation.
Good evening. I just got a chance to move 1,000 pounds of frozen chicken tonight. The truck driver was stuck at the truck stop, and he had chicken he couldn't get rid of, and so he called Chief Nealon, and, can you help me with this? He goes, no, but I think I got a guy. And so we've been like fast moving. So we got people from Wilmington coming up to get the chicken, Creed coming to get the chicken. So I also got to pray with a new friend. The truck driver was a Jewish man. So it was it was really good. Father, I just thank you. Holy Spirit, I invite you to preside over this meeting. Even if we have different opinions, Lord, I ask you to give us unity of spirit. Psalm 37:5 says that if we commit our ways to you and trust you, then you will help us. So we're committing this session to you. The scripture says to give honor to whom honor is due. Help us to honor and value one another, especially those who have given years of selfless service to our village. Help us to work as a unified team in combining ideas for a greater outcome. Help us to live out your mission on the earth when you said, I came not to be served, but to serve, and to give my life a ransom for many. Purify our thoughts and motives, and help us to serve each other and the people we represent sacrificially. Paul the Apostle in Philippians says, let each of you look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. So, Lord, we commit this meeting to you. Be in our midst, bind our hearts and our minds by your Spirit, and we ask all this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez. Here. Trustee Horn.
Here.
Trustee Henson.
Present.
Trustee Rakes.
Present.
Trustee Wilson.
Present.
Trustee Udris.
Present.
Open to the public. If anybody has anything they would like to bring up, now is the time. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. May I please have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Henson.
Yes.
Trustee Rakes.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
And moving on to the clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor Bogues. I have a few items for tonight, but first we'll start with the swearing in of Jim Pace. Insert your name after I.
Jim Pace,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
as Code Enforcement Officer
as Code Enforcement Officer
for the Village of Monee
for the Village of Monee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is yours. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here you are.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You're welcome. Moving on with my report, just wanted to make sure that I let everyone know that statements of economic interest from Will County Clerk's Office have been sent out. If you haven't received it, it's totally okay. Check your Barracuda because every year it does go to the blocked mails. If you haven't received it from there, let me know and I'll follow up with county. Also, the last thing, the Crete Monee School High School Band, they do Tag Day every year in Crete. And so this year they wanted to, in the spring, between spring and early summer, they wanted to do Tag Day here in Monee to be able to tag into both communities. So they haven't given a date just yet, but I know I did mention sometime last year, but we'll come back with a concrete date. Just wanted to make sure that you guys know. Yes, the high school band. End of report.
Thank you. For my report this evening, we've got Alex Mendelson with Turning Point Energy. He's got a presentation for our board, so come on up, Alex.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here this evening. Testing. All right. Ready to go. I am here today to speak with you all about what we unceremoniously call WI 202. It's an identifier spit out by a GIS system, but what's most important is that it's a proposal for community solar at South Will Center Road for 5 megawatts of alternating current to provide affordable power to the area in a way that's locally generated. A bit about who I am and who I'm representing right now. I'm speaking to you from Turning Point Energy. It's a completely independent, privately held solar development company that does a few things. We develop solar and storage projects across the United States. We advise utilities, communities, industry associations, municipalities, and governments on solar policy, regulations, and things that will further the community solar industry. Get more into what community solar is in a little bit. And then we invest in our clients most of all. Not only that, those are utilities, those are also customers, they're landowners, but most important, Turning Point, a little bit different than other solar companies, is it's also every community that we develop in. Our company has a mission to materially invest in every community that we go into, and you'll see some examples of investments that we've made, and we hold to that commitment with every project we do. So we've developed all across the country, as you can see from this map here. As far northeast as Maine, south is Texas, across California. Team members have developed in Illinois before, but we're here in the state now, starting in 2021, because in 2021, the legislature passed the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act in late 2021, which expanded the community solar market and really put the state on track to change its energy mix and increase the amount of renewable energy to a new goal of 50% by 2040. And that increased the amount of interest in the state for renewable energies. And they did that through renewable energy credits. Speaking to our long-term investment communities, I said I'd tell you some examples. So during COVID, we gave about $30,000 to organizations doing COVID relief. We've donated to school districts. We've donated money and land to school districts. We've worked with fire departments. We've built beekeeping facilities for veterans to get back out into the community and get engaged, specifically disabled veterans, so there were some architectural elements to that. And in each area that we go into, those seem so different because we tailor a community investment plan to fit whatever jurisdiction we're in. What's important to the jurisdiction, what do they want to see, and what kind of project can we create to not just generate increased tax revenue and provide reduced price power, but also be good neighbors, learn about the community, and actually make a difference. So as of this year, we'll have donated $1 million across the projects we've developed so far. And we're on track to well exceed that into 2024. This is an example of what a project would look like, and there's a site plan later on, but this is only about a minute. May I play it? Okay. So, just like for this case, And this was a project that we developed and constructed in Maryland. The project used single axis trackers which track the sun as it moves across the sky in a way to optimize the amount of space used and generate more energy. Let me try to, there we go. Why this is unique and important example in this case is because the solar farm is co-located with agricultural uses. So right next to it, as you'll shortly see, farming continues while the solar energy is generated. And so when we approach farmers, we talk to farmers, we ask them what they want to see on their land, we ask them if they want to lease or purchase, and we move forward as they want to see us move forward, on what portion of the land they want to see us move forward on. So as the sun moves, the trackers tilt and follow that as it moves across the sky. All right, so community solar is unique because the defining characteristic is that it's off-site. We develop one large array, and then folks can subscribe to it, and they get a bill credit. So on the ComEd bill, they would see their normal bill, and there'd be one more line item, and it'd be a deduction. And that's how it would appear. So customers would sign up for a fixed percentage of the power generated. They could, customers could be businesses, residences, even municipalities. There's no upfront commitment, no long-term commitment to sign up. They can cancel whenever they want, and there's no money to sign up either. It results in typically a 10% reduction in the utility bill off of their retail rate with no upfront investment. So if folks can't put solar on their roof, but they want to get some of the economic value of solar energy, of cheaper power, they can sign up for a community solar facility and get that as a bill credit. All right, so Monee, what we've learned so far, and we want to learn more, is the most important part. You're active, you're engaged, you're mutually supportive, and you're really caring people. Your newsletters are amazing. So I had fun reading through those and getting to learn a little bit about what's going on. I'm super impressed that you make so much happen. Where I'm from, not as much was happening, with a lot more people working on it. So it's awesome. The other things are we've begun to learn about initiatives like the ones that we talked about that are making a difference, like Action Love Monee, Provision Lab, that happened over the last couple of years. We'd love to learn more if folks have other ideas. And then why we're in this location is because from an interconnection perspective, we analyzed the distribution grid in this area, and we found that it has the capacity to support a 5 megawatt AC project. And then we also studied Monee's comprehensive plan because we knew where we're proposing this, you might have some ideas for that site. It's not in Monee, but it's right on the border. And so we have some ideas on how we can work with Monee and not against to permit this project, submit it to the state, and hopefully have a really successful example of not only a solar project, but of community partnership. So this is an aerial view. In blue is the entire parcel boundary, and in green is the initially proposed solar area. There is a pipeline that goes through the middle of that, going southwest to northeast. So a little bit down there, including a little bit to the south of that pipeline, enables maximum efficiency for the array. And this is it. This is what the panels would look like once laid out. Typically, when we first do a layout, we avoid things that look kind of like water features up on the north side there. And then you can't put infrastructure over a pipeline, and so there's a crossing path right there, and then the second part below there. But very preliminary, totally open to discussion, and moving on here. So if a community solar project was to be approved by Monee, and I'll get into why Monee would approve it in a minute. It's in Will County, but how can Monee approve this project? If Monee were to approve it, it would create about 50 to 75 jobs over a 12 to 18 month period. It would provide that renewable affordable electricity for local homeowners, and it would generate increased local tax revenue immediately. Right now, that entire 74-acre parcel generates a little bit over $2,000 every year for every taxing jurisdiction, schools, fire districts, everything. With solar, because solar is assessed statewide at $218,000 per megawatt, the tax revenue in year one would be over $50,000. And over a 40-year project life, it's expected that it would generate over $1.4 million for local taxing authorities. And that's at Monee's, that's including Monee's additional millage rate.
And that was at how many years?
40. That's the maximum life of the solar array. Not from a panel's perspective. The panels usually last something like 50 nowadays. But we would only intend to have the solar array there for 40.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, please. It's great. Thank you for being engaged. The other unique thing here, and this is a function of the state program, is to get capacity from the Illinois Power Authority, the site would have to have two things. It would have to use native Illinois prairie plantings, and it would have to be dual use, which in this case means it'd have to maintain an agricultural use and generate solar energy. The best use that goes with creating solar energy is actually grazing sheep, because they perform vegetative management and they, at the same time, provide an agricultural benefit through wool production. And so we'd propose to rotationally graze sheep underneath the array. They're also about 3 feet tall, so they can walk right under the panels. And this has been done in other parts of the country. Of course. It would be a herder. We would work with someone who would bring the sheep from another location, and they would install a minorly electrified paddock, this thin line with a small electric current in it, to keep the sheep in about a 1 to 2 acre portion, and then they would let the sheep eat there, and they would move them then across the site.
Paid for losses.
Yes. And hopefully we have a pollinator. So we're worked with a licensed landscape architect to create a pollinator plan. So hopefully things would start to bloom in the spring like this. There's a very specific staging schedule over the first 5 years to get the native prairie plantings to overtake weeds, because we'd have to comply with Illinois noxious weed laws and keep them at bay and eliminated. And so the cool thing about native plantings is that once they start to take, they keep out invasives. So if you get them to take enough, and if you seed at a high enough density, the amount of spot treatment will have to be greatly reduced. So these are some example spring blooming species that we'd propose in the seed mix, and these are fall or summer, and then you really have goldenrod showing out in the fall. All right, I won't belabor this too much, but a solar farm off of South World Center Road would be a quiet neighbor. There'd be no long-term traffic. There'd be no permanent parking. There's no impact on adjacent property values. Cohn-Resnick did a massive study that showed that. There are no emissions. There's super limited site lighting. The solar panels and the racking equipment aren't flammable. And then all electrical work will be performed by Illinois licensed electricians, and we comply with all codes from your fire marshal as well. And then we would want to have it be a good neighbor, so we work with you on a community investment plan. I wanted to speak for a minute about the U.S. renewable energy supply chain, because I think there was a lot of media over a long time, over 5 or 10 years, about where the panels come from. And for a while they were coming from China because they produced a lot of them. That is rapidly starting to change, and by the time that this project would groundbreak, which would be as early as first quarter of 2025, there is over a 50% chance that these would use U.S. panels and U.S. Materials. Already the tracker systems, Next Tracker, is partnering with steel companies across the country, in the South and the East, to manufacture components of their trackers, to onshore U.S. production of not only the energy, but also the gear to produce the energy. So these are just some snippets of recent headlines from companies that are onshoring their production. So you have a battery maker called Northvolt. You have a panel maker, silicone cell panel maker called Q-Cells, building a really big facility in Georgia. And then another one called Linton Crystal, bringing it back to New York. And that trend will just continue.
Do you work with all these companies?
So our leadership is, yes, our leadership is in conversations with investors and the material manufacturers to prepare to use those materials. And the reason is because there's a financial incentive behind it now. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So this is your zoning map right now, as you know full well. The portion in the bottom right corner is covering the site actually, but you can see the yellow is residential zoning, and so we saw this and we understood that being near residential zoning and having 30% of respondents saying they would want Monee if it were to grow west, grow east with residential, we thought, well, it would make complete sense that for Monee to grow east, it would have to annex this parcel. And so I'm here tonight to propose working with Monee to annex this parcel and to approve the project as a project, to approve it by Monee, and have it formally become a part of your village. This is the future land use map in your comprehensive plan. Right now, the CMAP planners treated that area using the South Suburban Airport boundary buffer. They didn't really plan it, and a lot of jurisdictions around here did not plan that buffer. Will County is starting to say, okay, it's been long enough. We need to start doing some long-range planning for this suburban airport district and buffer, because, what are we doing with this land? And so kind of extrapolating the adjacent zoning and the respondents saying we want to grow east, we thought that an annexation might be palatable for the village. So this is the site again. Just one more time, if we want to refer back to it. And then the next steps would be to permit the project as a permitted use. Right now, it's just a piece of ag land. Under Will County Code, it could be permitted as a special use. So Will County is right now rewriting their ordinance to make it more lenient in response to state citing legislation that was passed. But it would still be a special use permit through Will County if Monee were not to annex. And then what we're proposing that Monee would annex this, and then after this is officially approved as a use, we can show something that says solar is allowed on this site. We would take that approval and submit that to the Illinois Power Authority for capacity. Once capacity was awarded, we would select the investor, which is the one who buys and owns and operates the array. They're much, much larger, higher capitalized companies. And we would work with them, with the village to ground break the whole way, and go from there. And hopefully, immediately, if this is something that Monee would be willing to entertain, we'd continue to develop that community investment plan, because my higher-ups like to know what we're planning on doing early. So. Yes, of course.
Okay, I have quite a few questions. I seen that you said 10% is what it means for the residents, more or less. Okay. My question is this. I've been researching this over the last 2 years, personally. What is the difference? Okay, I guess the first question will be, you said 5 megawatts is what this will produce. What does that mean as empowering
Right.
whatever space that is?
Right, that's a great question. So this would power about 12 to 1,400 homes,
12 to 1,400 homes, okay?
or the equivalent. So if a municipality was to take for a bigger building a larger share, it would adjust. But if it was just homes, 12 to 1,400.
Okay, and I've lived here for 15 years, give or take. What is the difference between, or the renewable energy in a solar panel to wind energy? It gets really windy south of 80 out here, so I've always wondered this. Why would solar panels be better than like a turbine?
Right. I have a number of answers, but the answer that I've encountered the most in this state is that people don't like to see them.
I get that.
Yeah. So Turning Point is an exclusively community solar ground mount developer, and that's the response that I've heard most of all.
Okay. You spoke on how you invest in the community. Other than the jobs you would be bringing to the community, which I think you said was 50 to 75, how else do you give back to the community in what is it that you do?
We make a donation out of profit. That's ranges between $10,000 and $40,000 depending on how big the project is. And we work with community leaders to identify nonprofit groups that could really put the money to work and in a way that would make a good amount of impact. And that's how, by materially donating.
Okay.
And I just want to also add, and we also, we can't force them, but we also push, in this industry, we call the GCs EPCs. We also push the EPCs to donate to. We encourage them to strongly. Just as a matter of policy. We've been successful in getting some of them to do it.
Okay. As of right now, I don't think I have another question, but somebody else might.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
So getting back to the science of it, so, well, first of all, how did you identify this 74-acre project?
Right. So we analyzed, let me see if you can see my mouse. No. Okay, so there is a distribution corridor that ComEd owns that runs right along the northern boundary of that image right there, east-west, and that's a 34.5 kV line, and so we studied the line, and the lines showed us that there's enough capacity both on the actual line and at the substation.
Which leads me into the next question. So the science of it then, so this 5 megawatts, how is the power collected and then distributed?
Right, so the power is collected by all the panels in blue. That starts as direct current. So sun strikes the cells, it creates charge. The electrons move from one part of the panel to another part of the panel. That movement is captured. It goes into the wires as direct current, and it is all aggregated to the point at the northwest corner of the screen. And I could probably zoom in. I'm gonna zoom. Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in. Let me see here. Okay. All right, and apologies. Nope, that's switching slides. 21. All right, I'm just gonna mess this thing up. That's okay. All right, so this is the point of interconnection right here. So you can see on the north, where it says point of interconnection, it's connecting to the existing distribution line. And then the pink line is connecting to a red box, which is the inverter. And the inverter takes direct current power and it turns it into alternating current. And alternating current is what you can put directly into the grid and you can use in your home.
And then where's the substation from that grid?
I would have to follow up with you on that with our engineering team.
And then the other question is,
Let me write that down.
how do these panels sit? How tall are they and how deep are they going into the ground?
I can say no more than 15 feet at maximum tilt. So when they're like this, which they're at for usually one part of the day, and then in terms of how deep, maximum. This is a complete estimate. 4 to 8, and so one thing that we do is we do usually if there's a sign of drain tiles. We do a drain tile survey to make sure we're not adversely impacting drainage or traveled ways. And sometimes the best thing to do is just install an entirely new drain tiles network that fits better with the site and where the piles would go. And so right now, prior to doing any geotechnical investigation, but we would think that there would just be steel piles that be driven straight into the ground like that. And then the other thing is we do strongly believe that this site has broken drain tiles, and the landowner does too, at this location right here. So we would be planning to fix these. And
Planning to fix them, not circumvent them? So you plan to fix them rather than circumvent them?
we would either fix or we would replace with new. And yeah.
And then let's talk about the 40-year array
Mm.
then. So what if, this is the greatest thing now, we had the wind farms 10 years ago, and now the next greatest thing is the solar panels. What if the science changes yet again? What are we doing with the 74 acres that has all these panels on it?
Right. So if the long-term owner, if something changed with the technology, there'd be a decommissioning plan. If they're not allowed to abandon the facility. They're not allowed to by state law with the agriculture impact mitigation agreement that they make every solar farm sign. And that comes with the decommissioning plan, which requires all solar farms to remove the piles, the panels, the racking equipment, the distribution lines, and they even make you say if there's any landscaping, they even make you talk to the landowner about what to do with that. And so if at some point in that project life, the technology rapidly changed and the owner didn't want to operate this anymore, they'd have to decommission it and remove it from the site.
And so Turning Point is basically leasing this land from that landowner?
This would be a purchase, and they selected purchase, and what the purchase enables us to do, working with Monee, if you would like, is to annex.
And then I guess my last question is tax credit. You said, talk about the 10% reduction in the bills if you choose it. But is there also like a federal tax credit for the bills for choosing the income?
There is not, as a function of the income streams for the development. So there's a huge upfront capital expenditure, and then the 30% investment tax credit is the first return of capital. It returns like 30% of what was spent. That 30% would go to the project owner. Yeah, and even if it was, by the way, even if it was a much smaller version on your roof, it would also go to the project owner. If you were the project owner and you had federal tax liability, you too could. Yeah. Yes, project owner. So if you are considering a solar array for your roof and you have the financial ability to pay for it, and you have some federal tax liability, you can you can use the 30% federal investment tax credit yourself. Alternatively, there are companies out there where they provide you a lease, and so they're the ones who then take that federal credit. So
Thank you for being so patient.
thank you. Appreciate the questions.
So you were talking about the landowner in the third person, but actually Turning Point is, in this case, the landowner. Am I correct?
Not exactly. I'd love to clarify that. Turning Point has an option to purchase, so we don't yet own it, but we have binding site control. And so the landowner, named Felipe, is still the landowner, but we have an option to purchase.
Okay, but just to be clear,
Yeah.
for this to go forward, you're making this presentation, you would purchase this land and then build the solar farm.
We would, yes, but in terms of when we would purchase it for the annexation, I am not quite sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So the other question, you cited early in the presentation, you cited a state bill that was signed into law, apparently during COVID, because everyone was masked up there. So that maybe happened a couple years ago. Does that bill provide financial incentives to companies such as yours to build these solar farms?
Yes. Yes, it created the adjustable block program, and so once the project has its permits, you take the permits, site control, proof of interconnection, and proof that you're going to comply with in this case pollinator plantings and agrivoltaics, bundle it all together and submit it to the state for credits.
So is that a one-time credit, or is it ongoing, like annual
It
credits
is,
or reimbursement or subsidies, incentives? I'm not sure what you would call it exactly.
right. I must say I'm not the financial model person in our company, but I believe the credit is a multi-year credit, and that's the extent of what I know.
Okay, so follow up. So if we did not have this legislation in this state to give incentives, whatever you want to call them, your company would not be here in the state, not be here. Is that fair to say?
Likely, yes.
Because it seems to me that a solar farm is much more sustainable the further south you go in the Southwest, right?
Irradiance levels are higher in the south.
I couldn't have said it better myself. But from a purely profit, leaving incentives or state incentives out of it, it doesn't seem like it would be even a sustainable program.
It is. Honestly, the whole United States gets a ton of energy from the sun. The irradiance is still great in Illinois.
Tell me, do you know what the percentage of days that are sunny in Illinois? Let's put it that way.
Not off the top. but
Okay.
yeah, I can follow up with you on that.
I mean, well, I know it wasn't sunny today, but, is it 30%? Is it 60%? I don't know. But-
It's more than
That
those.
brings a question too. So what if it is cloudy? Is it just, it's still collecting rays and just not at the greater?
Yeah, so if it's fully overcast, and it's the thick cloud cover, the array doesn't generate electricity. If it's patchy clouds, there are protectors in each of among the tracker rows, such that if a cloud is over one part of it, the other part of it is still generating energy. So it generates partial energy on a partially cloudy day.
Last question from me. If these incentives were reversed or removed, does that means that you would no longer be in the business, at least here in Illinois?
I can't say that because I believe these I can't say that that's the case. No.
Okay, thank you.
That was why I asked over wind or solar, because I know we get really windy out here as well, and I get it. They're big wind turbines are, yeah, not very attractive.
They also create a lot of noise, that low hum, that have a lot of complaints about that. They usually keep them unpopulated areas because of that hum. And it's also been linked to other things. Alex, how long have you been with Turning Point Energy?
I started with them in 2017, 2018, and then I went and got a graduate degree and developed housing for a few years, and then I came back to them. So cumulatively so far, about 2 years with a break in between since 2017.
What projects have you completed in this region?
I haven't completed any projects in this region. I've had projects that were approved by Kankakee County and by Kane County, working with Elburn personally.
Are those up and running?
No. But the investors that we work with and select do have projects that are operational. One example of one that we partner with is Cypress Creek. So they have projects that are operational. So I think I should clarify this. The development process for Turning Point is three-party. We do the development part, the initial engineering, the permitting, and getting the project ready for construction. And then we work to select an investor. So there's that second party. The investor makes the upfront investment in all of the construction material and oversees the construction of the project with our input and throughout the entire process. And then once the project is at ground break and we're at the ribbon cutting, there is actually starting in advance of that, there's a third party that actually signs people up for the renewable energy credits, and because each party has their specialty.
So building off of Trustee Wilson's question, you said Kankakee County and Kane County you signed 2 contracts with. When did you sign those? How long ago? And when does that plan on becoming operational? Because the way that you're making it sound is like we get the approval to do this, and then you have to go find your investors, or part 2 to part 3.
Right. So the Kankakee County projects were approved last year around the August timeframe. Kane County project was approved in around October. The Kankakee County project, I believe, got capacity, and so that could be ground break could start in 2024, and we anticipate selecting the investor this year on that one. And then the Kane County project, we are still waiting for feedback from the Illinois Power Authority on whether it got capacity.
Okay, so start to finish, how long a process is? So you're making it sound like it's several years from the time that the start to the time that it actually goes into operation.
Right, it is, and when we talk with neighbors, we say to them we're very early in the due diligence process, and that is true. It's a long one.
So from start to finish, what are we looking at?
You're looking at a start of now and a shoveling ground first quarter of 2025.
And is that due to no current investors for the area?
No.
And on the back half of that, is that enough space? I know that you have it mapped out for 5 megawatts in power, but in light of an expansion, or that it's not creating enough revenue for the investor or the community, what stops this from shutting down or dismantling it all together, regardless of what new technology there could be? Or because it just seems like, and I'm not saying you're early's always better than late, but I understand the permits, approvals, and that stuff. You're 2 years away from breaking ground, and we don't have an investor. So to approve, and you have an option to purchase on land that I'm guessing you're going to lease with an option to purchase,
Right.
to give that lapse in time without a definitive answer, and maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit on my question, but how do we alleviate 2025 rolling around saying, yeah, we got somebody, and then that day we've done what we had to do for you to do your job, and for whatever reason, they pull out?
Right. So every time that we've developed a project successfully, there's been incredible investor demand. The people that started Turning Point Energy each have a couple decades of experience under their belt. The other part of it is that we're not just in Illinois right now. We're in Delaware and Maryland and California and Maine. And so we are actively working with investors right now that are also working in Illinois. So we don't have to go out and find them. We already have their interest. When we entered the market, we released a press release that Turning Point would develop 40 projects statewide and catalyze $500 million in investment. And we stand by that. And so we take a risk by investing a lot in development on the front end because we know that those investors are going to be there. And when you're awarded capacity by the state, the investors are there. And the reason for that is because capacity is limited. Illinois didn't just create an uncapped program. They provided this adjustable block program where they provided a certain number of megawatts statewide for community solar projects. The utility scale projects, they can just develop over these thousands of acres, and they can sell power in such bulk that they don't need one of those programs. But projects that are between 15 and 40 acres, those community solar projects, they needed this adjustable block program to be able to make smaller projects happen. And so as a result, there is demand. There's a lot of demand for projects that are entitled, that have interconnection, and are ready to go.
Okay, and was there a reason that the legislation was written for it to be smaller programs versus a bulk program in the middle of nowhere, where this could be utilized at a larger rate, or this is your field. I'm just trying to put it all together as to why it makes so much sense for it to be in Monee versus another one. You said Kankakee County, in Kankakee County versus a small community, because I know that looks like a large area.
Right.
But you told me 1,200 to 1,400 homes, and again, I don't know energy like this, but that doesn't seem like such an abundant amount of homes that it could run where it would benefit, and I'm not saying I don't think this is a good idea, but to where it would benefit a community if it wasn't, I guess, bigger.
Right. They cap, you're right, some markets say you can go up to 10 megawatts with community solar, double the size, but in Illinois, and I don't know why they decided to do this, but they kept it to 5 being the maximum. So you have to go 5, and then they also said you can't put a project right next to it, each other unless it's separated by a parcel in between. And so even if there was a lot more demand, we couldn't just put 2 projects right next to each other because they put a law in there that says you can't co-locate. So we have to spread them out all over the place.
So this is all, the reason why it's 5 megawatts of power is due to the legislation that was written.
Correct. The grid can handle more at this location.
That's, okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
So, and I guess that's the question that I have. The grid can handle more power, but we are not in a place now where we have rolling brownouts or blackouts because we're able to handle it. So why is it that we need more or community solar?
Right. So, right, you're not hurting for power. You have power. I would suggest you'd want community solar because it's this renewable source, it's locally produced, and also because it does provide a discount for homeowners. It does provide a discount over the retail rate. And so as someone, if I was living in Monee, I would sign up because it would save me money. And that's what most people's decision about solar comes down to is, will it save me money? In this case, it would, so.
And so I want to ask a question on that, because a couple times you said signing people up, and in some of the slides you've talked about homes that have chosen to have panels, and then, another pricing for homes that don't. Is this like a subscription thing then that we're talking about that residents have to sign up for? And if so, what kind of cost are our residents looking at in order to be able to take advantage of this?
There's, right, so it is subscription. There's no cost. There's no long-term commitment. They can cancel anytime. And the reason, because it seems kind of baffling, right? Why would a community solar farm provide a discount with no upfront cost at all? Because these solar farms need subscribers to show that they're generating energy for subscribers. And so the cheaper produced power and the incentives all bundle down to passing on savings to customers. So there's no cost to sign up or
So do we sign up with Turning Point, or there's guys camped out in Walmart and Sam's Club, or can we just call ComEd and sign up?
So you can sign up through Turning Point's website. Turning Point does have a portal. We would work with Monee to take that information and make sure that you were the first ones for the third-party company that I talked about to use to sign folks up, and we could do that, or just connect you directly with that vendor, and that's how we could.
Okay, but then how does the grid differentiate between, Trustee Rakis's house that chose to subscribe, I chose not to subscribe. How am I getting different power than him through the same lines that we've already had? I'm confused at how that works.
Potentially. So anybody in ComEd service territory can sign up for community solar. And so unless we area restrict it to a certain project, anybody in ComEd service territory can sign up for a community solar. So if the solar farm only could provide power for 1,200 homes and 1,300 people wanted it, the 100 people that signed up in addition would be signing up for another community solar project. It'd be the same discount in this case, but it'd be a different project that'd be providing that energy. And so as this program since started 2021, it really started in 2018. There were a few projects. 2021, a lot more projects. You're going to be seeing a lot more companies saying, sign up for community solar, it'll provide you this discount. And so you don't have to go with this project, but you can. And if Monee wanted us to get active in helping people sign up, we could do that.
And then you're also actively looking for homes in the area to put panels on their roofs as well?
No, we don't do rooftop solar.
Oh, okay, I could have sworn that you were talking about that, so.
Just as an example.
So there could be people waiting in line that we don't know about, that because they missed their last sign up, or there was an overpopulation in Kankakee County, that they wanted to sign up, they wanted their discount,
And now there's a waiting list, but the people here in the town where the solar farm is get bumped to the back because the other people are on the waiting list?
I haven't heard of waiting lists. I've been informed by our team that studies this that when we are in the process of building the array, we can take people's information in and say to the company that signs people up, these are the first people that we want to have access to this energy. I haven't heard of waiting lists or like a queue that's been building up.
So Kankakee and Kane County already have projects in the queue, basically. And then
I have operational projects in Kankakee.
operational already.
Yes.
So how many homes does that project?
It's not ours. I'm not sure, but they have 2 megawatt projects, so it'd be
Smaller than
yeah, and then they've approved a lot of 5 megawatt projects.
So what if, Heidi says, I want to sign up for community solar right now, if we don't know, where these substations are, if I want to sign up today, there's already renewable or community solar somewhere in our area, can I still sign up?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you a question. We just asked you a little bit ago of, do you have any that are complete and up and running? And you told us that you did not. You had some.
In Illinois.
In Illinois, you had some with Kankakee and with Kane that you were working on. But did you just not say that they already had some up and running in Kankakee?
Not that we own.
Oh, that you own. Okay.
Yeah. The other companies. I just driving around. I see some.
Also, I
projects.
just wanted to clarify that. No. Also, you said that you wouldn't start breaking ground if we were to agree right now. We wouldn't start breaking ground until 2025. How long before it would actually be finished and up and running?
Construction is 4 to 6 months. I'd estimate more like 6 months.
All right, so we can figure end of that year, more than likely. Also, well, other than the solar panels out there, they're going to surely have some sort of a building, small building or anything, outbuilding to no? Nothing?
No.
How do you...
Cabinet, electrical cabinet.
You just have the electrical cabinet. Now, is there a fence around this? Is there going to be
Yes.
fences around it for security, I'm sure?
Yeah. So electrical code requires a minimum 7-foot fence. That doesn't have to be a ugly chain link thing. It can be an ag fence. So it's just a wood post and the cross wire. mesh.
Understood. Just other details of that.
Yes.
Now, a few years back, Texas not only had their turbines, but their solar panels and everything when they had that big freeze and the big storm down there. Texas pretty much was out. This is Illinois. This is northern Illinois. We're going to have weather. What keeps us from that? And if that should happen, what do the people that are signed up for this have to look forward to? I mean,
Right.
how does the foul weather and everything work in that situation?
Right. So I'm going to zoom back in on this because the cold weather in Texas and in this case the resiliency that Illinois has built into its system comes from the pink line again here. So ComEd there are 6 poles that interconnect this array. ComEd would install 3 of them. ComEd's grid is weather resilient, and so the drop in power doesn't come at the panel. Panels actually get more efficient the colder they get. You want to keep them cold, and so it's ComEd's grid resiliency, and it just hasn't happened yet in Illinois. I don't believe that it's been frozen out, caused blackouts. It had to do with the lines themselves, the type of metal, I believe.
And again, you have none up and running in Illinois?
No, none that.
What's the closest state or the closest that you have one up and running in?
Let me see. I think that would be Maine.
Maine is the closest?
No, Maine. Looks like right. Virginia, if you're drawing a line. Yep. Southern Virginia specifically. We worked with an electric co-op down there called Danville.
All right, thank you.
Alex, the energy that these farms create, is that sold to ComEd, and ComEd then in turn discounts or credits the users or some subscribers involved in it, from what I understand?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the meter spins the other way.
So you're the middleman in this.
So what do you mean by that?
So if something goes wrong with the panel, it's your company that's got to go out and fix it.
If something goes wrong with the panel, there'd be a maintenance and operations company, and we have a maintenance and operations plan that we could submit to you.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a turning point.
And Virginia, you said Virginia and Maine, you have these plants that you guys own?
We don't own. We just develop. We've developed in Virginia, Maryland, Delaware is an active one right now, so that's still ongoing. But Maine, Texas, New Mexico.
Okay, so you've secured $500 million in funding.
Nope. Just it's an estimate of the amount of investment that it will bring to the state to actually construct these facilities.
Okay,
40
and
projects, $500 million.
okay, and other than a piece of land from A to C, because B's different because you can't have them next door to each other. In the event that landowner A is different than landowner B, but landowner A also owns C, that spacing of that one parcel, like you said, does that stop landowner C from developing another farm, solar farm, and does that stop landowner B because he's got A next to him from developing one?
I can I give you a, let's see if I can give you an example here.
You said you couldn't compound like next door, and it was only 5 megawatts of power the farm can produce. You said
Right.
that was state legislation
Yes.
that put that
Maximum
in.
for community solar.
So does that mean that's 5 megawatts for Monee, period?
No, to give you an example, if it were us that was developing it, there would have to be another parcel space between, and then we could develop parcel C, I think, in that example.
Yes.
If
And that question was into the landowner, being that it was the same one that owned A and C, but the guy that was in the middle at B, he was kicked out because,
just we couldn't do it, it's another developer could do it.
okay, so in what you're pitching here is next meeting, we could have another guy that comes in to say the same thing to us from a different company.
Right, so Monee has annexed the property to the west of this property, has not annexed the property to the north of this property. So, another developer could talk to you about another contiguous parcel somewhere in this image. Let me blow it up. Somewhere in this image and say the same thing if the distribution grid allowed it. So where the northern east-west green line is this 34.5 corridor, and then there's another line down South Will Center Road. And I don't have information on of it off the top of my head about the other lines in this area, but it's conceivable that there could be another developer out there who could want to develop a project, likely not in this image exactly, but outside.
I think what Chuck was saying is you have competitors that could come in here and offer us the same thing.
Not for this parcel, but for other parcels, yeah.
Well, but you do have competitors that are offering, doing the same things that you do, the same thing that Turning Point does.
Yes.
Okay.
So what stops them from using this specific land? Do you have a contract
Yes.
currently with the landowner?
Yes. An option to purchase.
And you explained that that option is up to your company, and the 40 years for which the device you said lasts longer. What in your expertise and what you do, how often does your company purchase the land versus lease the land?
I'd love to follow up with you all about that. I'd have to ask our real estate team, but I can say confidently that more often than not, landowners choose the lease option.
So the owner of the land chooses to lease it to you, and you don't purchase.
Yeah, we give them an option to lease or purchase, and in this case, they chose purchase.
Okay, they chose to purchase the equipment?
So, sorry, we give them the option for us to either lease their land or purchase their land, and we do that as a matter of practice across the entire state. And in this case, for this landowner, they wanted to sell their land. That's
Thank
what
you.
I meant to say. Thank you. Oh, the goal is 40 statewide right now. Sorry?
The goal is 40, what number?
Oh, in terms of presentations, maybe I'd have to guess. Can I guess? Okay. Maybe 11, something like that. It's a multi-year program, so we're anticipating to be here for a while. Yeah.
In this 50 to 75 jobs, this is not just for the development of this. This is for, I'm guessing, the duration of the solar farm being active.
No, it's full. So it's not just the construction, but it is the development and the construction. So all the way to ribbon cutting, that's the estimate.
So once it's up and running, how many people does it employ?
Right.
So part of the no traffic thing is that we need someone to maintain the grounds. So just maximum. Normally, when there are not the sheep grazing is a bit of a new component from the state, but normally when there isn't sheep grazing, monthly visits are sufficient. Whereas by someone in a pickup truck,
So
essentially.
0.
Yes.
Okay, so.
And then there's remote monitoring, so if there's snow on the panels or they get damaged for some reason.
You hire a company, they come out
company
and
comes
fix
in,
it.
Yep.
Okay, so in light of the sheep and things like that, and I have very little in what I'm about to say, but I remember in Homer Glen, when 355 went in, they had to stop development because of some butterflies. I understand it looks good on paper. It looks really good. I wish you guys could do a little bit better for our residents, but because it's only up to 1,400 homes, how does that impact things like insects and our wildlife and animals and our, cats and dogs and birds at home and things like that?
So the pollinator plantings improve it over its use right now. They actually provide habitat, and then in terms of the construction process, before that seed goes in and the environment is established, we do ecocat consultations to make sure we're not adversely impacting butterflies or sometimes bats if there are trees. In this case, we're not anticipating clearing any trees. But that has come up, for example, near Homer Glen. Someone identified bats near trees. And then we also do a natural resources inventory usually to see how we're impacting the land and if there are any mitigants that we could use. Yeah.
Can we get a report on these
Yeah,
things?
Absolutely.
For Alex, anybody?
Thank you. Great questions. Appreciate it.
I did just have a quick question. I know you mentioned as far as the power being able to power up to 1,400 homes or
Yes.
so. Would 1,400 homes be able to all go into that? Or is it just saying that that's the amount of power that it's generating?
1,400 homes, up to 1,400 homes would be able to enter into that, discount program. Yes.
So then there's no discount for those that don't take the deal before 1,400 and first person. So the first 1,400 get it, and 1,401,
They'd be able to subscribe to another community solar project in ComEd.
and that's what I was asking you about Kankakee County. With that being what it is, and them being able to subscribe on to, I don't want to take away from the ability for the residents of Monee to be the first ones to have that choice. You're telling me that there is no queue for those that are there, but if the deal is so good, who wouldn't sign up for it? And
Right.
on the other end of that, that was why I asked you about another development company coming in here to virtually give the town a better deal for its residents. That's,
Right. I alluded to that we could control that, or we could influence that process. And if that is a condition of approval that Monee would like to see, I can bring that back to my folks, and I believe they can tell me more details about how to make that happen. I don't have any more details than
I would appreciate
Yeah,
that.
but they said that that's a possibility. That's as much as I know at this point. I thought it was a condition of approval to subscribe to
Residents.
this, yeah, for it to be Monee residents first.
Well, we know, but probably would be easy because we only have 1,205 homes or something, so we could all fit in this one way.
I'm worried about somebody on the other side. I know he said there's no queue, but somebody on the other side that's waiting for it, being allowed to patch in before the residents here. And I think the residents should have at least the option before somewhere else. That's all I have to say about this. Thank you for everything, Alex.
Thank you. And please reach out with any other questions. It'll immediately see the faces of every executive in Turning Point. And yeah, I'm all yours too.
All right, thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I really appreciate your time.
Okay, there is no administrator's report this evening, so moving on to the officials' reports. Public Works Trustee Horn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Water Department has shut-offs scheduled now for Tuesday, February 28th. We have ordered another 200 tons of salt for the year to fill the dome. This is to top it off. We, as you know, have had a very light winter this year thus far, but we're not out of the woods yet. Number 3, we are picking up garbage around town and preparing for spring projects. And number 4, DPW is hiring for part-time seasonal laborers and part-time clerical help. You can apply on the village website. End of report.
Great, thank you very much. Parks and Recreation Trustee Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, we had a wonderful Valentine senior luncheon with 54 seniors who attended. Our next and final one till the fall is Wednesday, March 15th. Corned beef and cabbage and Irish soda bread will be served. So please register at the Village Hall to save your place. And again, the fee is only $5. Baseball and softball registration has been completed. 113 children have enrolled. We are taking 2 more Mustang players and 5 more T-ball players. Also looking for a Mustang level coach. Please see Diana if you are interested in either signing up a T-ball or a Mustang player or a coach. And we are grateful, always grateful for our volunteers who help make these sports happen every single year. Our before and after school care program is still taking registration for new students held at Monee Elementary. Currently, we have close to 30 students who are utilizing this program for the working parent. More information can be found on the website. And I know you're all waiting for this. Updates on the pavilion. We'll be starting construction on the new pavilion sometime in March. It'll take a few months to complete, but we're really excited about the new structure. And the Fireman's Park Plan, we should be hearing from DNR on the OSLED grant on February 28th if we have been awarded that grant. So keep your fingers crossed, and we look forward to that answer. Farnsworth has begun, our general contractor has begun the bidding process on the first phase of the park renovation. So just suffice it to say, just please know that our sports and activities season might look a little different this year and next. But I promise you, the end product will certainly be worth it. Monee's 150th birthday is next year. Did everybody know that? We'll be holding our first 150th birthday planning meeting on Thursday, March 23rd at 5 p.m. at Village Hall. All residents, businesses, organizations are welcome to attend. End of report.
Great, thank you. Finance Trustee Rakis.
Thank you, Mayor. Keep it short. The village will be meeting February 27th at 6 p.m. to discuss the budget. Currently, the general fund is operating at a surplus. However, revenues are trending downward and falling short of expected revenues. Village expenditures are also down compared to the budgeted expense. End of report.
Great, thank you. Economic Development, Trustee Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Under Project Unite Monee, we got an update. JCP Carpentry of Peatone was the highest of 2 sealed bids for the 4 village-owned residential lots in Eagle Fair. JCP Carpentry is looking forward to establishing themselves in Monee by building high-quality homes here in Monee. Under Project Magnify Monee, a new part-time marketing coordinator position was offered to a lifelong member resident, Rachel Beckman, to work closely with our Economic Development Director, Bill Barnes, and village administrator and village administration to increase our social media and marketing efforts by constructing a greater presence regionally and nationally for Monee. This will include our future business and residential developments, and she will begin on Monday, February 27th. It also brings the quote to mind, a quote that marketing is telling the world you're a rock star. Content marketing is showing the world you are one. So this is what Director Bill Barnes has been accomplishing with the rebranding of the village logo, village gateway signage, economic development video, and village website updates. Now our new marketing coordinator will take us to the next level. So welcome aboard, Rachel. And as always, when available, shop Monee. End of report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Building Services, Trustee Henson.
There is no report. There is just a statement that I'd like to make. Is I just wanted to welcome Jim Pace. I wanted to tell him congratulations and thank you for joining the Building Services team. And I hope to see you there and do a great job. End of report.
Thank you. Public Safety, Trustee Udris.
Thank you, Mayor. Emergency Management Agency, want everybody to know effective January 1st of 2024, all of the east and west fire agencies, which includes the Monee Fire Department, will be switching over to an 800 band radio frequency. Dispatching already is being performed on the 800 band, but in preparation for this deadline, Monee EMA has purchased and is placing in service 5 of the 800 band pagers. This way EMA can monitor all fire activity and all alerts in Will County in real time and help for a better response, faster response. Monee EMA has the capability to have total communication now with all of our fire partners. Programming has been done by the Monee Fire Department at no cost to the village. For the Monee Police Department, recently Deputy Chief Lazzaroni, Sergeant Cancelosi, and Officer Hostra attended the Special Olympics kickoff event in Bloomington, where the Monee Police Department received the Gold Award for raising $25,602.14 for Special Olympics. The Monee Police Department ranked 29th in the state for this fundraising. And with that, our name will appear on the back of the Special Olympics t-shirts. But as a side note, this is the most that the Monee Police Department has ever been able to raise for Special Olympics, so job well done. March 4th will be the Polar Plunge out at Lake Mantino. So if you would like to donate and support one of our officers, please go to polarplunge.soill.org, support a plunger, and look under Monee PD. End of report.
Great, thank you. Moving on to the attorney's report, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one item for the board's consideration. This is a TIF payout request to Second Place Church. The amount's $55,700. I believe they submitted all the appropriate documentation, so it's up tonight for the board's review and consideration.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Oh, sorry, Chair.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. Any unfinished business, anyone? Any new business? Okay, open to the public, non-agenda items? Feel free. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
7:58 PM.